Warning, if you haven't finished Attack on Titan yet, the game obviously contains spoilers from the show. The core gameplay is also built around said spoilers, so they're unavoidable to talk about, and I just said screw it and summarized all of Season 1 so they'd make more sense. Watch at your own risk. Also prepare yourself for some big naked titans with no wieners. I'm gonna regret this in the morning. So I'm just going to be direct with you. Attack on Titan Humanity in Chains is a game where you pay $40 to press Y, X, and sometimes R repeatedly for 5 hours. You think I'm joking here, but yeah, get used to it. Sometimes you press these buttons in the castle walls, sometimes you're in a forest, sometimes you're on a horse, but at least the game can guarantee that after the first hour, you'll be bored playing all the time. Anyway, the plot here covers almost all of Season 1, and oh boy, let's see how simple I can make this. Titans appeared one day and want to eat people. To save humanity, people made these huge walls to protect themselves, and for 100 years everyone lived in peace. Then without warning, they broke in, killed a bunch of people, and a bunch of military dudes had to fight back and kill them. The main character who's part of the military, Eren Yeager, gets eaten by a Titan, but right before dying in his stomach, he conveniently turns into a Titan and helps the human seal the wall. Logic. After Eren turns back into a human, the court decides that in order for him to not get executed, he has to join a super cool military branch called the Survey Corps, leave the walls, and go on an expedition to find out more about the Titans without screwing up in said Titan form. On the way, they run into a female Titan who goes after Eren, so now they have to capture her. The end. Now the game follows this plot to a T, even using cutscenes from the show instead of actually making them in 3D. The music is also ripped straight from the show, which is an amazing soundtrack by the way, but this all really comes off as lazy. Heck, even though the game uses these cutscenes, it still doesn't tell the story in a coherent fashion, and I can pretty much guarantee that any newcomer will be like, what am I reading? Where are their wieners? Also, no one wants to read walls of text that are about as useful as reading a SparkNotes article out of order. In fact, since I just told you the basic plot, you can just skip all the cutscenes if you don't care. Just know that Eren has friends who also are in the military. This poor storytelling is mostly due to how the game is structured. Instead of one large campaign mode, missions are split into 5 of the main characters: Eren, Mikasa, Armin, Levi, and Sasha. You know, Potato Girl. But we'll get back to why this is later. Anyway, each mission plays out some vital scene from the show, and the game's ideas start out really strong. The tutorial stage is against a colossal Titan that broke down the walls, dodging his hits and avoiding his steam. You go through similar training that Eren and his friends did in the show. You go out exploring with the Survey Corps and try to capture the female Titan. Not only were these levels faithful to the source material, but it actually felt like you were training for the battles ahead and eventually got to these crazy missions. It was an amazing feeling. The mechanics felt really complex at first too. You had to learn how to swing around properly, slash at the Titan's weak spots, which kills them instantly, and time your slash just right so you can get critical damage. But after a few minutes, you realize this is all a smokescreen. For starters, the camera is absolute garbage. I would dare say it's the worst camera I've ever had to deal with in a video game. It gets stuck on everything. The walls, the clipping through Titans, and the worst part is you have to position it on where to go all the time. The L button does fix the view, which helps a little bit, but the camera on the bottom screen doesn't follow the direction you're going until you actually move again, and doesn't follow your view with the camera, so half the time you'll be going in the wrong direction and fixing yourself repeatedly while also having to fix the camera. It's beyond awful! If you have a Circle Pad Pro or new 3DS, you can use a second Circle Pad or C button to control the camera, but it's such a train wreck already, and at the speed you're going, it really doesn't help that much. If you have the regular 3DS, this is assigned to the D-pad, and I can guarantee you'll have a bad time with either layout. Second off, the game runs like garbage. On the surface, it does look pretty decent, capturing the setting of the show really well with large maps and different settings to switch things up, but there's so many things wrong with it. There's poppin' everywhere with trees and houses spawning into existence, faraway Titans move at a pitiful frame rate. Seriously, just take a good look at this. When you give CPR to people, they disappear, every item is just a small glowing ball, and I ran into numerous glitches like the wrong prompt showing up. Oh, and the game runs at a horrendous frame rate in 3D. It seriously feels like it was still in its prototype phase. Which leads us into the gameplay, which once again feels like an artificially lengthened prototype. And I have a lengthy list of why. The game is fun for like the first hour despite the awful performance, but then you realize you're just doing the same thing over and over, pressing Y to lock on, then X to attack, then X again to time it right, press R to move around, and repeat. There are only a handful of different types of Titans, and they all pretty much go down the same way. All the characters also play the same, with stat changes that are so subtle that they're practically non-existent. The difficulty never increases in story mode, and I very rarely lost to anything. There's no skill involved besides timing your button presses better and managing the camera. It looks like there's a cool item system in the touchscreen, but it's just healing stuff and spare weapons if they break. And despite having different characters, all the missions are samey too. It just gets repetitive really quickly, and after 2 hours or so, it was a chore to play. Now despite all this, the game does try to switch things up by letting you play as Aaron's Titan form. And guess what? I literally mashed X the entire time, no other buttons, and I won every single time. There's absolutely no skill involved here, and the combat's not only as shallow as a kiddie pool, but it's so simple that you don't even have to look at the screen while doing it. It's pathetic! And don't even get me started on the missions with the horse. It's essentially the flying levels from Superman 64 on a horse. Oh, and you like the horse physics? Yeah. Same! Now what saves the game for being a complete train wreck is something called World Mode, which I actually found kind of fun. I mean, yeah, the gameplay is just still QuickTime events, but it does give you a ton of customization. You can make your own soldier with different hair, voice, clothing, and so forth. There's a tab where you can upgrade or buy new weapons, improve your gear, or buy health items, and as you do more missions, you can invest in these shops to level them up and get cooler stuff. And most importantly, there's missions to tackle, ranging from easier town missions to scouting missions where you can try difficult challenges in the field. To add on to all this, you can either hire new soldiers with different levels and abilities, or get people locally or online to help you out, and getting others in the mix is a blast. It really shows just how idiotic the AI can be too. They are never really helpful the entire game and sometimes just watch me get eaten. Never trust computers, kids. Heck, there's even online leaderboards here to encourage players to continue missions. There's really an impressive amount to work with here. Despite a few minor complaints, a new weapon class, guns, aren't exactly useful since you're just sitting back and wailing on Titans instead of effectively slicing their weak spot, and the game reusing those armband missions again with no indicator on where they are. World Mode actually gave the game some replayability, and I was inclined to keep playing. That is, until my fun was cut short due to one big flaw: the army system. You see, the game tried to do a risk and reward thing here where easy missions get you more army soldiers while harder missions use them up since, you know, people die a lot outside the walls. But the problem is that the game doesn't prompt you well that you lose soldiers in the harder missions, so I ended up trying them a bunch of times and I lost my entire army! This usually wouldn't be a problem, but I went to the next mission and you need 115 soldiers! For each mission I can currently do, I get 4 back every time, so I'd have to replay any of the same 4 missions 29 times to progress, or play 4 times to get 1 shot at a harder mission, rinse and repeat. I can't delete my save file to fix this either, since World Mode is unlockable in the story mode, and there's no way I can go through that monotony again. So my journey was cut short, and this has to be some of the most atrocious game design I have ever experienced. In conclusion, Attack on Titan: Humanity in Chains feels like a decent game prototype. That was rushed out the door. The first hour was a true diamond in the rough, capturing the scale and set pieces of the show, and being a fan, it was really a gratifying experience. But besides the beginning of World Mode, almost everything else about the game sucks. The gameplay is pressing the same buttons at the right time with no progression or variation, the story's a convoluted mess, the game runs like ass, and you can easily beat story mode in 3 hours, which includes a ton of repeated missions and cutscenes. And after a while, World Mode forces you to monotonously and obnoxiously replay levels. Seriously, it feels like a free-to-play smartphone game without the microtransactions, but all the progress walls. Get it? Walls like the show? If you're a hardcore Attack on Titan fan, I'd say to wait until this hits the bargain bin. And with Atlas having sales like 9 days a week, it shouldn't take too long. There's actually some cool things here for fans, like watching the game's key scenes and openings, alternate costumes for your favorite characters, and even a Titan encyclopedia for all the ones used in the game. But everyone else probably won't care much for it, so stay far, far away from this one unless you read the manga or watch the show, which I actually enjoyed and recommend for anime fans. Attack on Titan: Humanity in Chains is okay gameplay, awful visuals, good sound, and awful length. But overall, it's an okay game that nobody should buy at full price, and only for hardcore fans at a heavy discount. And that's as direct as it's gonna get from me. Weren't expecting that score, were you? Just goes to show you how redeeming 2 sections of a game can be. Or maybe I just have my fan goggles on. Speaking of which, I should probably clean my glasses. Don't you hate when stuff gets stuck on the nose piece? I feel like I need a freaking toothpick or safety pin to get it out. Wait, that's probably disgusting, isn't it? Oops. I'm a professional, I swear.